saw a story, a strange sight. I stumbled upon a story most strange, like nothing my young life, had ever prepared me for. Early one Friday morning, I noticed a young man, handsome and strong, walking the alleys of our city. He was pulling an old cart filled with clothes, both bright and new. And he was calling in a clear, strong voice, "Rags! New rags for old rags!" I was curious, for the man stood tall, strong, and his eyes flashed intelligence. Could he find no better job than this, to be a ragman in the inner city? My curiosity drove me, and I followed him. Soon, the ragman saw a woman sitting on her back porch. She was sobbing into her handkerchief. Her shoulders shook. Her heart was breaking. The ragman stopped his cart. Quietly, he walked to the woman. "Give me your rag," he said so gently, "and I will give you mine." He took her handkerchief and gave her a linen cloth, clean and new. She blinked from the gift to the giver. Then, as he began to pull his cart again, the ragman did a strange thing. He put her stained handkerchief to his own face, and then he began to weep, to sob as grievously as she had done, his shoulders shaking. Yet she was left without a tear. She was happy and content. I was amazed, and I followed the sobbing ragman, like a child who cannot turn away from mystery. Rags, rags, new rags for old. In a little while, the ragman came upon a girl with a bandage around her head. Her eyes were empty. Blood soaked her bandage and trickled down her cheek. The tall ragman looked upon this child with pity, and he took a yellow hat from his cart. "Give me your rag. Give me your rag," he said, touching her blood-stained cheek, "and I'll give you mine." The child could only gaze at him while he removed her bandage and tied it to his own head, and I gasped at what I saw. For with the bandage went the wound. Against his brow now ran blood, darker, more substantial blood, his own. "Rags, rags, I take old rags," cried the sobbing, bleeding, strong, intelligent ragman. The sun was climbing higher now, and the ragman seemed more and more to hurry. "Are you going to work?" he asked the man who leaned against a telephone pole. The man shook his head. The ragman pressed him. "Do you have a job?" With frustration and annoyance, the man against the pole revealed the right sleeve of his jacket. It was flat, no arm inside. How could he work? The ragman said, "Give me your jacket, and you can take mine." The one-armed man took off his jacket. So did the ragman. And I trembled at what I saw. The man now had 2 good arms, thick as tree limbs, but the ragman only had 1. "Now you can go to work," said the ragman. After that, he found a drunk, lying unconscious beneath an army blanket, an old man, hunched and sick. He took that army blanket, but for the drunk, he left new clothes. And now I had to run to keep up with this ragman. He was weeping uncontrollably and bleeding freely at the forehead, pulling his cart with one arm, stumbling for drunkenness, falling again and again, exhausted. Yet, he went with terrible speed. He rushed through the alleys of our inner city. I wept to see the change in this man. He had so much sorrow, and yet I needed to see where he was going in such haste, perhaps to know what drove him so. The little old ragman, he came to a landfill, the garbage dumps of the outer skirts of the city. He climbed a hill and cleared the little space where he sighed and laid down. He pillowed his head on a handkerchief and a jacket. He covered his bones with an army blanket, and he died. Oh, how I cried to witness that death. I slumped in a junk car and wailed and mourned as one who has no hope, because I had come to love the ragman. Every other face had faded in the wonder of this man, and I treasured him. But he died. I sobbed myself to sleep. I did not know, how could I know, that I slept through Friday nights and Saturday nights, and its night too. But then, on Sunday morning, I was awakened by a violence. Lights, pure, hard, demanding lights, slammed against my face, and I blinked, and I looked. There was the ragman, alive. He still had scars, but he was healthy and alive. And the old rags around him shone bright and clean. Well then, I lowered my head, and trembling for all that I had seen, I myself walked up to the ragman. I told him my name with shame, for I was a sorry figure next to him. Then I took off my clothes in that place, and I said to him with a dear, yearning voice, "Dress me, dress me, dress me." He dressed me. My Lord, he put new rags on me. And I am a wonder beside him. The ragman, the Christ.